So for math today, we're going to finish up measuring. We're going to be doing a couple different things. So we're going to work on these worksheets with the snakes or the worms or whatever they are on them. You're going to be using your ruler that I dropped off at your house for you. So make sure you have that ready. You can find your ruler and your measuring pages. And we're going to watch a brain pop about measuring also. So you do have one more worksheet to do. This is just a practice page. It goes over the things that we've been measuring. I'm going to leave it for you to do on your own. This first one talks about how we can compare things even if they're lined up, not lined up next to each other. So if I'm measuring something in one room and then I go to a different room of my house to measure, how can I tell which is longer or shorter or taller? Well, I can use a third object that's the same and bring it with me from place to place. So down below it says circle the thing that is longer. So we want to decide, is the green marker longer or is the blue book longer? Well, we look at the red, which is the same for both things down below, and we can tell which one goes out farther. Same thing for the green crown and the blue tube, which one is longer. On the other side, it talks about estimating, and that's when we take a thinking guess. So we would use cubes. First, we would estimate, think about it, take a guess, and then we can actually measure it. You probably do not have cubes at home. It's okay. You can measure with anything you have. You can measure with clips or pennies or Legos or anything else that you have at your house to measure with. Estimate first. Remember, it's a thinking guess. It's okay if it's wrong. It's okay if it's right. And then measure it for real and write down the answer for each thing. On the inside, it talks about measuring with different things that maybe that we have around our house or our classroom, paper clips and cubes. It does not matter what you measure with. If you have those things at your house, that's fine. If not, you can use whatever you have. You can even practice measuring with your ruler if you'd like. And then on this side, it says you can measure the length of longer objects with longer things. So this is what we talked about yesterday, where if I'm measuring something that's bigger, I'm going to use a bigger thing. Like I would use straws to measure a bicycle. But if I'm measuring something smaller, like a pencil, I only need a small thing, like a cube. So they're talking about measuring a blackboard or a chalkboard and measuring a book down below. So just some extra practice to talk about what we've been doing with measuring. Today we're going to get into using our rulers. So I did give each of you a ruler in your bag of things that I dropped off at your house so that you can use that for measuring if you don't have a ruler at your house. This is inches. It says it right here, starts with an I, inch as inches. And that is a unit of measurement. So from 0 to 1 is 1 inch. From 1 to 2 is 1 inch. And it's the same for each time we jump up to a new number. The inches are the same. So no matter where I go, if I am measuring something with this ruler, the inches will always be the same. I do make sure when I'm measuring that I line up the end of whatever I'm measuring with the end of my ruler where the 0 is. Then I can look across, and wherever it stops is how many inches I measured. So this brain pop talks a little bit about inches, and then I'll show you what to do on your worksheets. So let's take a listen as Annie and Moby measure with inches.
You think Selden's gotten longer? We should measure him. You got a ruler? That's okay, Moby. How do you measure without a ruler? I know that length is how long something is. Width is how wide something is. And height is how tall or high something is. Selden isn't very tall or wide, but he is long. Let's use something to figure out Selden's length. Well, it's easier if we use something that's flat and straight. We can line up crayons to find out Selden's length. It's important to line them up in a straight line with no gaps, or else we couldn't get an accurate measurement. Selden is 1, 2, 3, almost 4 crayons long. You found it. A ruler can help us find exact measurements. What are inches? Well, an inch is a unit of measurement, and we can use inches to measure small objects. When you measure something with a ruler, it's really important to line it up with the 0. Right, this bolt is 1 inch long. We abbreviate inches as IN period. Let's measure it. This screw is a little more than 2 inches long. It's longer than the bolt. This nail is close to 4 inches long. It's the longest. So, how long is your birdhouse, Moby? That's a gigantic birdhouse. We should use it as a doghouse instead. Maybe you measured it using feet instead of inches. How can you measure using feet? For longer objects, we can measure in units called feet. Well, kind of, except we have different sizes of feet. If we measured with your foot, we'd get a different measurement than if we measured with my foot. That's why we have one standard foot that is the same. This ruler is 1 foot long, which is equal to 12 inches. Let's see. Your doghouse is about 1, 2, 3 feet high. This is the abbreviation for feet, FT. I guess there are tons of ways to measure. Maybe in a few weeks we can measure Selden again and see if he's grown. Nice hat, Moby.
Okay, so that was measuring using a ruler for inches and feet. You have a couple worksheets that I gave you that go like this, where we are going to use our ruler to measure what's on the paper. So I'm not going to go through each one with you because this is good practice for you to do on your own today, but I am going to show you that we have to make sure we line up the end of the ruler with the end of whatever we're measuring. So here, we line up this end of the snake's tail to the 0, and we can see that this end where the snake's nose is at a 3. So this snake is 3 inches long. This one, we line up the end of the ruler with the end of the snake with the 0 on the ruler, and the snake's nose is here at number 2. So this snake is 2 inches long. So read the directions on this page. It says measure each snake, and then in each box it tells you color the snake that is 3 inches long. So out of these two, I see that the top one is 3 inches long. I'm going to color that snake. But we're not done yet because it says how long is the other snake. Well, if this one is 3 inches long, the other one I measure and it's 2 inches long. So I would write a 2 there. So for each one, you have to read the directions to find out which one to color and then which one to write down. So that is one of your jobs. The other one just says measure each snake from the tail to the tongue. So you're lining up your ruler at the tail where the 0 is, and then stretch it all the way out to the tongue where the tongue stops, and this one would be a 5. So on this side, you're going to go across and write a 5 on the line, 5, and that IN stands for inches. So for each one, you're going to measure and write it down. And then I'm having trouble remembering, but I think you got this page too, where it says, cut out the ruler. You don't have to do that because I gave you a ruler. Measure each snake and then circle how long it is. So you're going to measure the snake. Again, don't line it up over here at the end of the box. Make sure you're lined up at the snake's tail, and then stop where his nose is. And then you can circle, is it 3 inches or 4 inches for that snake? For this one is a little bit smaller, and you can circle what it is. So that is some measuring practice for you to do on your own. You can also use your ruler to measure things around your house. Maybe find some things that are smaller than an inch or bigger than 5 inches. Have some fun with your ruler. Practice measuring things today. Tomorrow we will do some weighing to see how heavy things are. Okay, good job measuring.